Welcome to the home of the reigning national champions, Brookings, South Dakota, where it has turned into a wind tunnel. 45-mile-per-hour gusts for two national seeds going at it. Villanova coming in undaunted as a big underdog against the reigning national champs, the Jackrabbits, who have won 26 games in a row and go for back-to-back titles. How they got here, pretty easy work for South Dakota State here at Dykhouse Stadium last week. 41-0 against Mercer. Villanova and their explosive offense put up 45 on Youngstown State in the second round win. We're glad you're with us with Tom Luganville, Connor Onion, Larisha Harris here in a moment. Now this South Dakota State team, they've been compared to Georgia at the FBS level. Reigning national champs, 26 wins in a row.
Yeah, it's really been a run of dominance. And there's some common denominators as to why, right? You want to stop the run, #1 ranked rush defense in all of FCS. You want to be able to run the football, dominant run game for the Jackrabbits. They're plus 11 in turnover margin, so they're checking a lot of boxes as to why they've been the #1 seed here in the playoffs so far.
Pretty good at quarterback, too. Mark Gronowski, described by the coaching staff as perfect or as close to perfect as anybody we've had.
Well, all you got to do is speak to his teammates. And during the COVID-ridden 2020 season that transferred the game, the FCS championship game, into the spring of 2021, Gronowski won the starting job as a true freshman, ended up getting injured in that game, but it was back in the fall of 2020 when the seniors on this team came to the head coach and said, that's our quarterback. He's a freshman, but coach, I'm telling you, that's our quarterback.
There's a Villanova offense that can turn a game into a shootout in a hurry.
It sure can, but you know what can stop it? The wind conditions today. Look at the explosive plays for this Villanova offense, and it's really been remarkable. It's not just through the air, it's on the ground, and the quarterback, Connor Watkins, he is averaging 19.7 yards per completion, guys, per completion. Let that settle in. #1 in all of college football. So we'll see how the wind plays a factor today as it relates to some of those explosive plays through the air.
The conditions are really going to make it interesting down there, aren't they, Larisha?
Oh, for sure they are, Connor. As Tom said, Villanova's explosiveness will be limited because of the current conditions. There's a wind advisory that's in effect until 6 p.m. Central Time. And when I spoke with the special teams coordinator for the Jackrabbits, he told me that the kicking game and the field position will definitely be affected by the wind. Right now, the winds are going north to south, which is left to right for our viewers. Cashmore said they're simply adjusting where they kick the ball. They're aiming lower, no hang time on the punts, guys.
Tom, did you see one of those kicks?
I was having the best time out on the field in pregame warm-up, and these punters and these kickers just doing everything they can to get the ball through the uprights, and the ball just sticks up straight in the air.
If it crosses the upright, it's good, but there's a chance it's crossing the upright and coming right back at you.
That's right.
Packed crowd, playoff football from Brookings, South Dakota. Here we go in the quarterfinals. And with the wind blowing that direction, easy touchback for Hunter Dustman. So Connor Watkins leads this Villanova offense. Last time, 2 years ago, when they played South Dakota State, he was watching. It's his turn now in the playoffs.
Yeah, 6'3", 225-pound grad student. That's the one thing about this Villanova squad that we'll talk about throughout the day. They are old, 5th and 6th year seniors, graduate students, starting with that man right there who can do it with his arm, he can do it with his legs. We'll see a lot of zone read out of this offense with quarterback keep. Again, explosive plays, not just through the air, but on the ground in the run game.
It's Watkins on the quarterback run on the first play of the day, and that is what he does so well.
Do a really nice job with the mesh and the carry point in the backfield. You know, are we going to give it to the back? Am I going to keep it? We're going to key an unblocked defender, and that defender is going to indicate to the quarterback, Connor Watkins, whether he's going to give or keep. Expect to see a lot, as we mentioned, of that today. And if you look at the wind, throwing the football, throwing the ball to the left for Connor Watkins will be the most difficult in the passing game when they're going right to left.
He gained 7 on first down, and Watkins handing off to Jalen Jackson, who has a first down for Villanova.
Three-headed monster on the ground for Villanova. Number 1, 2, 28, D. Will Barley, Jalen Jackson, Durajaye. These three backs are going to rotate throughout this offense, and they are a load to handle. You're going to see a heavy dose of the run game here today.
D-Will Barley checking in for the first time with Jackson on the sideline. Ayo Durojaye comes into the backfield out of the slot. And it's Barley for the first time with nowhere to go. Cade Tervier there to stop him.
Take a look at the two backs over here to the left. Number 1, number 28. Going to get into that formation a little bit. It's a bit unique. But then it's number 94, Cade Tervier. He's going to scrape. He's going to leverage the football, keep his outside shoulder free. Really nice job by a big physical defensive front for South Dakota State.
You're going to see a lot of that formationally today from Villanova.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting with their backs. Something they came to by accident. A bad snap, and Barley has to take it himself, and he got back to the line.
That snap looked like there might have been a little bit of movement too as well. Some miscommunication between the center there and Jake Picard. That ball finally ends up coming low. You see the polling lineman there, and now you find yourself in a 3rd and 13 on the opening drive of the series for Villanova.
And this feels more like a 3rd and 23 with the winds.
Again, throwing the ball to the left is going to be the biggest challenge if you're moving from right to left on your screen, as Villanova is here.
With the wind in his face, Watkins, and that's at the feet of his intended target, Rajon Pringle.
Rajon Pringle, the 5'9", 195-pound slot receiver. He's got 38 catches on the season. And I talked to Connor Watkins in pregame warm-up, and he was throwing the football to the right. And I said, have you thrown it to the left yet? And he said, yeah, not good. So interesting to watch that unfold. And let's see what happens here in the punting game. You look at the flags on the goalpost, and it is really coming into the face of the punter.
So it makes throwing and punting interesting, and there you see it right away. It doesn't get off the ground, and South Dakota State will have it for the first time at the 31.
Now this was part strategy. That's Fondacaro right there, number 96, the punter. They wanted to try and punt with a low trajectory to cut the wind. He cuts it too low, ends up hitting the up back right there, number 35. South Dakota State jumps on it. Outstanding field position going with the wind, starting off on the 31-yard line.
Kevin Brenner right there to grab it. And now one of the best offenses in the country out with Mark Gronowski at quarterback for the first time. And Isaiah Davis on the first carry. He's a guy, Tom, that seems to get better when it's playoff time.
He is one of those guys that not only gets better when it's playoff time, he's better in the fourth quarter than he is in the first. So difficult to tackle, a true power back, great contact balance at the point of attack, as you saw right there. And this is a team, listen, they're capable of lining up and running the ball 35, 40 times in a game. That's their makeup, and with these conditions out here today, I expect to see a heavy dose of Isaiah Davis.
A big advantage South Dakota State in that way with the conditions. Back-to-back carries for Davis to begin, and he can't shake Abraham, who was riding with him right at the line.
And if that looked like it was going to be a 2-yard loss, ended up being a 2-yard gain. And again, that just shows how difficult he is to tackle and how much trust they have in him. Now, this is an offense that gets into what I call a lot of what we call 12, 13, and 22 personnel, meaning there's going to be multiple fullbacks, multiple tight ends that they count in their run game as God intended, Connor, because we have to have fullbacks and tight ends when you're at South Dakota State.
You made Zach Lujan, the offensive coordinator, smile so big yesterday when you said that. Quarterback run on third down. Dronowski with the stiff arm, and that gives him enough to get right to the sticks. Spot is at the 21, and they do say first down.
Well, you got an unbalanced line, and they end up pulling the guard on the right side. You right there, you've got the lead from Isaiah Davis there, 22. Gronowski does the rest. They just had Villanova outnumbered defensively in terms of the formation. A lot of unbalanced, a lot of heavy sets. Again, you look right here. You got 2 tight ends, we've got a back, we've got a true fullback in there.
A little flip underneath to Yankee, and that is stopped by Abraham. Flying up. Look, Gronowski, we saw him run for the first down. Tom, he hasn't run as much as he had the first 2 years as the starter, but he's still a major weapon on a windy day in that way.
He's a major weapon because when you have quarterback run defensively, you have to account for it. You have to have the numbers in the box to be able to hold up at the point of attack because he's the extra ball carrier. But what a great career. Walter Payton Award finalist. Numbers have been outstanding, but it's the leadership and the intangible traits that he brings to this program that has earned the respect of his teammates.
Charisma, that word that keeps coming up with him. A little bobble on the snap, and another quarterback run, and that front stops it up for Villanova.
Well, you see a lot of white jerseys near the line of scrimmage, and it's, you know, you look at the formation for South Dakota State, they've got their heavy personnel in there offensively, and in order to stop the run, Villanova's going to have to commit to the box, which is what's going to happen. We see right there Ross Pennypacker, the defensive coordinator at Villanova, at some point off of play action or just a one-on-one shot to the outside with the box loaded up, heavy to stop the run. There's going to be some downfield shots if they can handle the wind.
South Dakota State, #1 in the country on 3rd down. Usually in 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 4. This on a 3rd and long, and Gronowski's first throw is broken up. Well played by Ice Waxter, who sealed the game last week with a pick for Nova.
Such a big, long corner out there at 6'2", 215 pounds. And what a, can you come up with a better name for a corner? Ice Waxter.
Well, how about a guy named Ice sealing a game against the Penguins?
There you go. I mean, come on, it just fits. Wintertime football here in the FCS playoffs, 25-degree weather, winds.
Okay, wind at the back of Hunter Dustman. This is a 42-yard try. And for the first points of the day, he does hook it in there. There was a thought that it would be 4-down territory all day long. Hunter Dustman says, I'm good. I got it for 42.
Well, he was able to keep it straight. You know, the wind can move it side to side. Points are a premium right now, but credit Villanova defense. It's Jackrabbits up 3-0.
Nova, but he's been there much, much longer. He was on Andy Talley's staff for a long time. Since 1987, he's been involved in some way with the Villanova program.
Yeah, he's a lifer, and he's a guy that loves it. Position coach, coordinator, head coach, assistant head coach. You see the length of a tenure. From a coaching perspective, it's just so rare. Coach Ferrante loves this program, and you know, obviously when you've had the level of success that he's had, there's going to be opportunities to go other places, but you're coaching great kids. You have no off-the-field issues. You've got a great program with backing. You've got kids that want to be there. It's a really good job in college football.
We walked away from our meetings with him this week sensing absolutely no fear coming here and playing the #1 team. After the field goal from Dustman, he kicks away to Durojaye, who's stopped at the 15. Let's hear from Mark Ferrante before the game, addressing his team.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Run somewhere. Let's go, get somewhere, let's go. This is what we anticipated when we saw we were in this bracket had we made it here, like 2016. This was more like 2016, but when I saw it was 58 2 days ago, I'm like, son of a gun.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I'm tweeting out, come to the game, 40 degrees.
He said something funny to us this week. People think that it doesn't get cold in Philly.
Oh,
it gets cold in Philly.
Did you notice which coach was dressed warmer?
I did. I did. The second drive for Watkins through the air, and that's incomplete. Jason Freeman almost picked that off.
Jason Freeman does an outstanding job from the backside from a linebacker perspective. They're in zone, and so he drops. You see him to the right side of your screen there. He's just keying the eyes and almost jumps in front of it. Jason Freeman, just a 5'9", 215-pounder. They got him through the transfer portal, and you may say, well, he isn't very big, and then you turn on the tape and you watch him produce. He's a football-playing dude now.
He's the best player on this defense right now.
Absolutely. There's no question.
From NAIA to the best player on the #1 defense in the country. Here's Jackson with a seam and a first down.
Jackson, he's just a low to the ground power back. Look at the forward lean. Gets his shoulders square, no hesitation, no dancing. A little bit surprised that Villanova's having the success that they're having at the point of attack against this defense for South Dakota State that's only allowing 90 yards per game rushing all season long.
Villanova went for almost 200 against the top 10 rush defense last week. Ayo Durojaye out of one tackle, out of another, but not the third. And tripped up by Adam Bach after a 3-yard gain.
You could make the argument that Adam Bach, 32, is the pound-for-pound best player on this defense, but he's been banged up. He's been injured. They haven't had the full services of his play, and the coaches love him. He's one of those guys that demands to be coached hard because he wants to get better. And if you notice on that defensive play right there, everybody leveraged the ball to the outside. Didn't allow anything to cut back inside. Really good discipline from this Jackrabbit defense.
Barley is the back, and off of that long mesh, he plunges ahead to make this a 3rd and short. It'll be 3 yards to get on 3rd down. So you're talking about Bach, how he likes to be coached hard. Jimmy Rogers has been in his ear his whole career, and he's the hard-nosed coach.
Sure.
Jesse Bobbitt, now the defensive coordinator, is kind of the put your arm around him type guy. He demanded that Coach Bobbitt coach him harder.
Yeah, they're kind of good cop, bad cop, right? And Coach Bobbitt said, well, how can I do better? He said, coach me harder, coach.
3rd down on the 2nd drive of the day for Villanova. Jackrabbits show pressure up the middle, and Bach almost got home. Forced that throw away from Watkins, and it's 4th down. There is a flag down at the end of the play.
See what the flag is here.
Way after that pass was incomplete.
After the play, dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense, number 82, 15-yard penalty, brings up 4th down.
So Jalen Sanchez called for the unsportsmanlike. This is the pressure from Bach.
Right there. And the ball just goes low. If he can get it up. You're going to see number 82 right there in the middle of your screen with the headbutt.
Oh, that's World Cup 2006 right there.
That's just poor discipline there. And now this is a big field position changer because of the wind into the face of the punter.
Well, after the first punt never got off the ground, this one takes a Villanova hop. And no chance at a return for Tucker Large. 36-yard punt. South Dakota State off of their field goal. We'll have the ball when we come back to Brookings. South Dakota State, the reigning national champs, since a loss at Iowa last year, 7-3. They have not lost a single game.
When you look at the numbers right there, they speak for themselves. And you say, well, how do you do that? How do you sustain it? And, well, you know, you're plus 11 in turnover margin. That's a huge double-digit number to help you out as a football team. You can stop the run. You can run the football effectively. And super disciplined as a program.
Isaiah Davis on the first play of this drive. Meeting with the South Dakota State staff yesterday. They wouldn't fully commit to this, but there was a hint or two along the way. What North Dakota State did for years, building their dynasty, and what they're still doing, that motivates this program.
Well, how can it not? I mean, you have something to chase. It's in your own state. You say, wait a minute, that could be us. We invest here, which they've done facility-wise, stadium upgrades, an indoor practice facility, and now look at where they are. And all of that stuff didn't occur until 2014 and 2016.
Back-to-back carries for Isaiah Davis, and he keeps the shoulder pads down for a first down.
This is where Zach Luan, the offensive coordinator, mentioned that the 3-3-5 defense for Villanova thought it might be a bit problematic for them to have enough bodies to hold up versus the run versus the South Dakota State offense. So he felt really good, given the type of defense Villanova is, that they could effectively run the football here today.
A lot of drop 8 with those 3 down linemen. Only seen Gronowski with 1 true pass past the line of scrimmage. Looking to throw here. And has to bench it. Larisha, what do you got?
Well, you guys were talking about just the transformation of this place. One of the things that the coaches mentioned when we talked to them this week about what makes this place so special is merely the people, the relationships. And I think we can, just look at the coaching staff itself. 5 former Jackrabbit football players are full-time coaches this season. So it just speaks to the relationships, the bonds that this atmosphere, that this culture brings.
There's no question, Larisha. I mean, both the coordinators are alums. One's 30, one's 28 years old. We asked all those coaches individually what makes it special. They all said the same thing without knowing what the other was going to say.
Now that's run down in the backfield. Brendan Bell, one of the most energetic guys on this Villanova defense.
Well, they're a linebacker-led defense. Brendan Bell, 35, Danny Abraham, who we've talked about, Shane Hartzell. And Brandon Bell is one of those guys that came into this program as a quarterback. Tremendous athlete, really, really rangy. One of those guys the coaches said, hey, if we went out and played golf tomorrow, he could golf. If we went out and played racquetball tomorrow, he'd be the best racquetball player. And that's why he's been so versatile and rangy for them on defense.
If they're digging holes, he's probably the best at that too.
No doubt.
That's his go-to celebration on a tackle for a loss, signifying a buried another guy. Sets up a 3rd down after Bell's play. And Gronowski's sideline shot, and not there. That ball took off in the wind.
This wind, as you're looking at the field, is going left to right in a diagonal fashion. So it's going basically northwest to southeast, and that ball just carries and goes right out of bounds. And you don't realize till you're standing down there how powerful the wind is.
We almost had to lock arms.
Yeah.
Walking down there.
Solidarity. I mean, how often do you see wind blow up? Right?
So you got a leaf blower going straight up from the turf.
Yeah.
Usually a play that Gronowski and Yankee connect on. 45-mile-per-hour winds have made kicking and throwing hard. This will be a delay game.
Offense, 5-yard lead. So put it down.
Don't know if it translates over the air, but when that ref opens up his mic and it goes over the PA system in the stadium, all you hear is a gust of wind throughout the entire stadium. Yeah.
Wind at the back of Dustman on this punt. Rajon Pringle back to get this kick. Will probably travel pretty far if he gets it off. A little fumble on it. And that does carry through the back of the end zone. The kickers going that direction told us they could probably hit from 70 today. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the app, the 89th annual Heisman Trophy ceremony. Finalists LSU's Jaden Daniels, Oregon's Bo Nix, Washington's Michael Penix Jr., and Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr. Chris Fowler hosts for the 30th straight year tonight at 8 Eastern. Connor Onion, Tom Luganbill, Larisha Harris, and Brookings, South Dakota. Quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs. 26-game winning streak for South Dakota State, the reigning champs. As Villanova back to work on offense with a 1-yard gain for Jackson on 1st down. Villanova, the 8th seed, they won the CAA, beating their rival Delaware to get the automatic berth and clinch a bye in the 1st round. Both teams got the first week off for double-digit wins both ways last week for Villanova and South Dakota State. A play fake, and Watkins takes off and cuts that yardage in half on a third down. If you need any idea how windy it is today, you got play sheets flying all over the field on this drive for Villanova.
Right now, the Villanova coaches are all on the sideline scrambling to pick up their play sheets that were left on the bench. Looks like they're able to get all of their state secrets and back onto the sideline.
South Dakota State student section was hoping they were going to blow right in there. They'd have some ammo. Wind in the face of Connor Watkins on a 3rd and 4. And Jackson is cut down by Bach, and it's 4th and short. It'll be 2 yards to get.
Gain of 2. That will get 4th down.
Villanova's got to punt the football right here, and they do, despite punting into the wind. Defense is playing really, really good football. I've been impressed with Villanova overall defensively in terms of their ability to hold up, particularly in short yardage situations here in the first few series of the first quarter.
If they were going the other way, do you consider going for this?
Potentially. I think potentially, or, you know, actually, no, I wouldn't, because I think that at that point you'd have a great opportunity to really flip field position with the wind.
I was thinking maybe with the other offense going into the wind, consider it, but 4th and 1, they'll punt it. And Fondacaro gets it away into that wind. Tucker large, we'll watch it skip. And 65 yards to get for South Dakota State after the 37-yard punt. Number 8 seed Villanova, they've won 7 consecutive games. They lost to Albany early in the CAA season, have won 7 straight. Since then, South Dakota State, just 2 close calls in the year. Montana State here early in the season. SIU played them in a touchdown game down in Southern Illinois in Carbondale about a month ago.
Yeah, and I think, these teams are built for the long haul because of how they play, their style of play. And this 7-game win streak for Villanova has been spectacular. And for South Dakota State, it's all been riding that number 1 ranked defense at the FCS level.
Also a very good running game with one of the top backs, Isaiah Davis. Mark Gronowski, he's up for what is the FCS's version of the Heisman.
Sure.
A lot of people thought Isaiah Davis was snubbed in that way, that there could be 2 candidates on this Jackrabbits team.
And I think it's very fair, and obviously not everybody is going to become a finalist, but there's validity in that thinking. As Isaiah Davis, almost 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. Look at the playoffs versus the regular season. And again, it hasn't just been him. They've got multiple backs. Amar Johnson, 704 yards. Angel Johnson, 358 yards.
Well, all Davis so far, trying to run away from Abraham, and he gets to him at the edge for the loss.
Isaiah Davis with the carry.
Again, a linebacker-led defense, 29, Danny Abraham. And I love how Villanova at the point of the attack just stretches this play to the sideline, never allows Davis to turn the corner. And now here we are, 3rd and long. All right, you're going with the wind, but the last time they attempted a pass, it was down the sideline to the left side, and the ball just sailed downfield and out of bounds.
You throwing it here?
I think you're left with no choice. The question is, will you throw it to your right or throw it to your left, depending on how well the ball can be controlled.
Wind at the back of Gronowski. It's a quick pop. Davis out into space. Through an arm tackle for a 1st down.
Well, the best way to get a completion is to throw it short, right? Don't let the wind get in the way. That's a gain of 22 yards there for Isaiah Davis. Gronowski quickly gets the ball out of his hand, and we talked about Isaiah Davis and his ability to break the initial tackle. He does it there to convert on down. That's only the 2nd pass between both teams here today that has been completed.
And the other one was a little pop pass.
That's right. That's right.
You're going to see that look today a lot, but don't get too close, as you know from personal experience. We don't want any flames on jerseys. We're at the end of 1 in a windy quarterfinal in Brookings.
Coach, the wind, of course, a factor in play today. What adjustments need to be made specifically to your offense to make it to the end zone?
Well, the wind usually doesn't affect the offense and defense as much as obviously the kicking game. So we just got to do a better job covering the guys up in the first and second level so we can move the sticks and get the first downs. We haven't attempted too many passes just yet, so we'll see if it does affect the passing game. But normally, you know, the quarterbacks, our guy and their guy, they have pretty good arms and they can put a pretty tight spiral on it. So other than the deep ball being, you know, overthrown or something like that, we should be able to throw the ball effectively. It's really the kicking game that gets affected by this weather.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Well, so far, Larissa, he is right. In the passing game, there are only 17 total yards through the air between both quarterbacks, 0 passing yards through the air for Villanova to this point.
A 22-yard hit from Gronowski to Isaiah Davis for South Dakota State has him in plus territory early on in this second quarter. Here's Amar Johnson ahead for a couple, and it's third down. South Dakota State, the #1 team in the country, 12-0. They've won 26 straight games. Villanova trying to not only shock the country, but get to their first semifinal since 2010.
And what an accomplishment it would be. I mean, if you've got to come on the road and face the #1 team in the country in these types of conditions, and you pull that off, I mean, you've got something, right? I mean, it's a long season at the FCS level. And you better be built for it. And you've got to stay healthy, too. And both of these teams have been able to do that.
Gronowski on 3rd and 4, and that's knocked down. Danny Abraham right around the play again. He was at the face of the quarterback. Chandon Pierre was also in there with pressure. Abraham's having a heck of a game to begin.
Yeah, he is. He's been really good from a pressure perspective. He's been great from a tackling perspective in the run game. You see Gronowski here, gets back, doesn't hold on to it. That's just a nice job in pressure. Get your hands up. You're not going to get home. Get up, bat the ball down. See a concerned Jimmy Rogers there, the head coach with South Dakota State.
The offense will stay on the field for South Dakota State. They are against the wind in the face of their quarterback Gronowski. And to throw on 4th down and taking a shot, and it's hauled in. Oh, that seemed impossible with the conditions. But Yankee with a first down.
What an unbelievable display of accuracy. And if you look at the very end, this ball kind of drops to the ground, and Yankee does a great job of tracking it out of the air and making the play. Look at that ball sail to the outside. What a conversion, and I like that call from South Dakota State. Points are going to be at a premium. If you get anywhere near the red area, I think you're going to be in 4-down territory until you get inside the 10-yard line.
The teams are marching back to the original line of scrimmage.
I didn't see a flag. Did you see a flag?
Let's see one dropped.
Please put 13 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, please. 13:20.
An in commando flag was dropped, so wipe off the 22-yard play. Now the punt unit out for South Dakota State.
Connor, I never saw a flag on the field and have not had an explanation yet. Hearing from the replay booth that it's an illegal formation on South Dakota State.
So huge swing. Jaden Yankee with a 22-yard catch through the 45-mile-per-hour winds. But the illegal formation wipes it off. And it's Villanova back in the field on the offense after this.
Going back to the illegal formation penalty that would have converted on a 4th and 4 for South Dakota State. One of these two guys needs to be on the line of scrimmage. And both of them are off the line of scrimmage. You let the play run. You got Yankee coming in motion. They throw the corner route to him now. This ball, as you can see, it's completed there right around the 15-yard line. Now, because of that penalty, they're forced to punt, and look at where the ball is. It's at the 17-yard line. What a killer penalty against South Dakota State.
So Villanova gets it back, chasing 3 points, and Barley doesn't have much. The interesting thing about it, we've talked a lot about the wind because of how it's changing this game.
Yeah.
Nobody in the stadium saw the flag. We didn't see the flag. We think that flag just took off in the wind when it was thrown.
And became a kite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might be out in the parking lot somewhere. Very intense, defensive-minded coach in his first year, Jimmy Rogers, on that Jackrabbit sideline. Watkins takes off, and he didn't get very far either. Van Marl made the stop, or else Watkins was out to the races.
Yeah, I think this was designed. It was delayed. You had D. Will Barley, number 28, the running back, step up into the gap and then ended up becoming the lead blocker. And that's just a sound job defensively, forcing a 3rd and long with Villanova backed up. They do have the wind at their back. I just think you've got to throw a tight spiral. If you're going to throw it, you got to be able to cut the wind and stick it right on the target.
And a timeout for South Dakota State.
Timeout.
So 3rd and 7 coming for Villanova. Offensively, wind at the back of Connor Watkins, their quarterback. And down 3 points. The NCAA FCS championship coverage continues next weekend with semifinal coverage on ESPN Networks. For more info, visit ncaa.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. One team is already there. Montana, in overtime last night, they beat Furman. And a word to the wise, whoever wins that South Dakota-North Dakota State game later today, maybe don't kick the ball to Junior Bergen, who had 2 return touchdowns last night for the Grizz.
Did you see what he did to that poor kicker?
Sure
Oh,
did.
my goodness. Oh, my goodness. What a matchup that's going to be. Oh, Montana, man, that is a tough, tough place to play at the FCS level. Maybe the toughest in all the country.
The winner of this game gets the winner of tonight's 4 versus 5 matchup at the Kibbie Dome. It'll be Idaho and Albany. After the timeout, Watkins to the air, and that's incomplete. Tucker Large makes the play, had the coverage on Rajon Pringle.
Well, that's Tucker Large's 6th pass breakup of the year, 3 interceptions, and he does a really good job. He just stays on the hip. He got that right arm around the waist right there. Could have been potentially looked at from the back judge. No call. I like it. Let him play. And you see right now Tucker Large backing up in his return role, and he knows what this means with the wind.
Can't even put the ball down without it blown away right now.
Number 96, Nathan Fondacaro in punt formation.
Let's see if it carries with the wind at the back. Fondacaro.
And Tucker Large back there to return. Not a big believer in fair catches. If he gets a shot, he's going to try to bring it back. And he will not get a shot. He does let it roll. Villanova wind, Villanova bounce, and Ben Wellis, the long snapper, gives it a little extra breeze inside the 10. Long field for the Jacks when we come back. The Nick's Burgers in Brookings, institution here since 1929. Started as a 5-cent burger, now $2. Not much has changed, but waft that in, Luke. You can smell it from here.
Yeah, I just took a stat, just, as a precautionary measure. That is the true definition of a smash burger right there, isn't it?
Sure is. Just down the road from Dykhouse Stadium. The long field after a 71-yard punt for Villanova and Fondacaro. So very long field inside their own 10 for the Jacks starting this drive.
Yeah, you see that formation and that personnel grouping we talked about from South Dakota State. 3 tight ends, 1 tailback, or a combination of a fullback, a tailback, 2 tight ends. And they consider 44 really from a fullback alignment to actually be 44 and 34 Michael Morgan to be there in their tight end package. That's how they operate.
But then again, Michael Morgan was the Missouri Valley Football Conference fullback, first teamer. Gronowski to the sideline, and Yaki got hands on it but incomplete, and Jacks fans want a flag. And Devin Marshall right there on the coverage on Jackson Yankee.
Had Gronowski come off of that read to the sideline, you see the middle of the field right there, and Zach Hines would still be running right now had he come to the second target on the over route to the tight end. And I see the beef there, right there on the sideline, just to some degree. But I think there was a missed opportunity through the progression there for Gronowski to get to the tight end.
How much do you start second-guessing reads when you have a windy day like this?
I think when you're thrown into the wind to the left side like they are now, I think it's awfully, awfully difficult.
A quick pop to Yunke, and that is destroyed in the backfield by Waxter.
It's the second play today that we've seen Waxter make. And listen, they're not giving up any leaky yardage defensively. Villanova's done a great job. He plays off of the attempted block from Yunke there on the perimeter. That was Jackson, not Jaden. Villanova has an opportunity now, once again, punting into the wind to get great field position. Returner standing at the plus 45-yard line.
We saw Villanova punting this way have trouble. Hunter Dustman does get it away with a low trajectory. And Pringle lets it hop. Villanova's defense has kept him within 3 after giving up the 42-yard field goal.
Yeah, and really, they've been a really good tackling football team. We talk about Abraham, 27 right there, Brandon Bell, number 35. They've penetrated really well at the point of attack on the tackle-to-tackle inside gap run scheme, but then they've done a really good job of not letting the ball get to the perimeter and turn the corner. Good tackling football team, making South Dakota State earn it, and quite honestly, I think they're frustrating South Dakota State on offense.
Ross Pennypacker, he's used this 3 down front since he returned to Villanova, his 9th year overall, his 2nd year as the coordinator.
Got to get some points here with this field position and the wind at your back if you're Villanova on offense.
Watkins to throw on first down. And with that wind incomplete, there was a hand on it near the line of scrimmage with pressure in the face of Watkins.
And I got to be honest with you, I think that hand in the face of Watkins that might have caused him not to follow through on the ball is a blessing in disguise, because if that ball would have carried, you had a safety for South Dakota State coming off on it. See number 20 right there. That ball might have been intercepted. Very fortunate right there for the hand to get hit. Miles Taylor, number 20, would have been right there on the spot.
Watkins has not completed a pass yet. And now he has. Pringle, his top target, is sandwiched down at the 40 with Dallas Beanham at the bottom of that pile. On 3rd and 6, what do you do if you're Chris Bowden, the offensive coordinator?
Well, right now they're saying, the heck with fighting the wind. Let's just throw it horizontally and see if we can make a play on the perimeter. I would run it, try to get half of it back here, stay in 4-down territory. You've got to get points here in some way, shape, or form. And I think they've got 2 downs to do it here.
But Bowden told us that it's going to be 4-down territory until they get to about the 10-yard line in most cases. Could change wind at the back. Watkins pulls it out. A foot race to the sideline, and Watkins beats Quentin Hicks there for a first down.
I really like this play call. We mentioned when we came on air that Connor Watkins is going to be an integral part of the run game with the zone read concept and whether he would give. You see the slow mesh right there or keep. And they've got 48, Quentin Hicks. He's caught in no man's land, right? That's called a conflict of assignment. He's either got to run with the back or he's got to stick to the quarterback. He can't do both.
Luke's, I think he came up limping a little bit too.
Yeah, he did. It's cold out there. I keep stretching on the sideline.
Bad day for the Hammies. Watkins out of the pocket. And he takes off again and slow plays it to the sideline and out of bounds. Larisha has more on Watkins.
Well, you guys have been talking about his decision-making and just his overall ability. When we spoke with offensive coordinator Chris Bowden, he says Connor has all the tools you'd want in a quarterback, but Bowden specifically mentioned the growth and in the mental aspects of Connor's game, and I think we've seen that with him visualizing the game and truly taking ownership of the program, and also with the decision-making he's doing today.
It was called stretch marks on his mind.
A lot of strain.
Some guys do it in the weight room. Watkins has done it mentally. And Jackson slips through there. And he's past that tackle for 6. Jalen Jackson with the first points against the #1 Jackrabbits.
We said they had to get points, and they earned them. You see quarterback Connor Watkins right there. He's hurting a little bit. Jalen Jackson spells him there with the big run for the first touchdown of the game.
A 25-yard hit for Jackson, and that is no good. A little bit of trouble with the hold, and it's 6 instead of 7 after Jackson races to the end zone.
Impressive outing for Villanova offensively, but missed on the PAT attempt.
Jalen Jackson having the best rushing season at Villanova in a decade. A chance to get to 1,000 yards. He just scored the first touchdown for the Wildcats. And he'll get a little break from the wind, too.
Into the hot box. They've got 4 boxes on the sideline here, 2 on each sideline, that are essentially little heated barns for the players to go into. I figured we'd find Larisha in there at some point.
Just got to kick the door open to do a sideline.
Yeah. Probably like a sauna in there.
I think every player that could be on the field here is still in there.
Yeah.
There are only 11 guys on the field, maybe only 11 guys out of that box right now for Villanova.
Well, you got those little propane jet heaters down there on the sideline. I got a story about one of those one time.
Yeah, you do.
See that right there? There it is. I had a teammate catch his pant leg on fire on one of those, actually in the FCS playoffs.
Uh-oh, that was through the hands of the return man, Goring. He's in the end zone. Villanova rallies inside the 5, and the ball's out. The ball is out, but South Dakota State is there. Goring touched that on the way by to the back of the end zone, and then it was a race to get back to the goal line. Then he fumbled.
Again, you know, is this wind aided? Did that impair his judgment at all in terms of how he chose to approach that football? Nevertheless, ball comes loose. Look at the field position for South Dakota State going into the wind as we see the rest of their football team on defense going into the hot box there. But what a great opportunity for Villanova, who's been lights out on defense here this afternoon so far, to get another stop and find themselves in positive field position if they can get the ball back.
Jalen Jackson just gave Villanova the lead with their first points of the day. And Davis is trimmed down in the backfield. Shane Hartzell blows that play up.
That coaches call him a throwback, downhill, tackle-to-tackle player. He just shoots the gap here, ends up being unblocked. And well, South Dakota State is an unbalanced 13 personnel. 1 back, 3 tight end, overloading the right side. Impressive again. Villanova on defense, Connor.
Ross Pennypacker, the defensive coordinator, he likes to provoke Hartzell. He said that he made this up, but he said somebody from SDSU called me this week and said they're going to try to run over your face.
Yeah, they think you're soft.
He made the tackle for a loss of 1. And Marshall up on the first hit of Davis, but it never takes just one guy. And that herd drives ahead to the 8. They'll mark him forward. Progress stopped at the 8. South Dakota State fans are saying, why'd you stop it? It would have been 5 extra yards.
Yeah, it looked like some momentum was still going forward. You see Coach Pennypacker there on the Villanova sideline, and gotta like what he's seen out of his group so far. And South Dakota State has not proven that they can throw the football in any way, shape, or form. And now you've got a critical 3rd down with field position hanging in the balance.
Game of 6.
Their one long 3rd down pass of the day was waved off because of an illegal formation. Gronowski hit Yankee for 22 yards, but that was taken off. This is a 3rd and 6. Gronowski sideline for Yankee, who twists around and can't haul it in. Devin Marshall right there again.
Devin Marshall, another one of these big corners for Villanova. They're 6'2" on one side. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds. This is actually a pretty well-thrown football to Yankee on the back shoulder, and it's just tight coverage, and the coverage has been tight all day long. And man, what an opportunity for Villanova. Once again, a great defensive stand. The returner standing at the plus 44-yard line.
Hunter Dustman from his own end zone. And kept it low and away from Pringle again, but it's going to be good field position for the Wildcats. 33-yard punt puts it at the plus 41 for Villanova.
This has got to be one of the strangest games to coach in, right? Because there are elements at play here that have a dramatic impact on your play selection, where you are at on the field, what side are you on in terms of when you're on offense, which way is the wind going? And then when you throw the football, where you're sitting there having conversations with your quarterback, hey, where are you most vulnerable? Where can you cut the wind? Is it over the middle of the field? Can you throw it underneath?
Bells, whistles, and screaming surrounding Villanova as they come back on offense on first down. And Jackson, another good cut and a physical finish after his touchdown in the last drive.
What a fantastic jump cut. 52, Jared DePriest, the defensive tackle for South Dakota State, appears to penetrate. And it was, now you see me, now you don't. Look at this right here at the point of attack. They're 52 inside and just jumps and disappears in the backfield. A hard-earned run for Villanova.
And trying to shock the country today against the Jackrabbits on a 26-game winning streak, the reigning champs. Watkins with the wins. Pressure in his face, and that's tipped and knocked out at the last second. Pringle had it tipped. Hayek almost caught the ricochet, but it's third down.
Take another look at this with Pringle, 19, who's normally very, very reliable. And I think he just lost vision of the football with the defender on the back end. I think it's Tucker Large. Yeah, number 1. That should have been a catch. That should have been a touchdown. And the hand of Large going right through the face and the visual there of Pringle.
Instead of a touchdown for Pringle, third down and short.
4-down territory here for Villanova.
Flag out.
Offense. Flag out penalty.
Oh, man, is that a brutal penalty, Connor, because now you got to look at things a little bit differently here on third down. 3rd and 3, now you're going to go back to 3rd and 8.
How many you need to go?
Unfortunate penalty. And listen, let's see what they get, how much of it they get back here, but it changes things from a play calling perspective.
First offensive penalty against Villanova today. Watkins goes down. Quentin Hicks brings up fourth down.
Quentin Hicks just is working. He's just working. You see him at the bottom of your screen. He dips. He's fighting. Showed some bend and really pressed the pocket. Look how low he is. Maintains his footing and finishes to the quarterback.
How big's that drop?
Oh, man. Huge. Huge on the drop and really maybe even bigger on the penalty on the next play.
And the punt is blocked. And it's going the other way. Game flipped. Field flipped. Matthew Durant for a touchdown.
Well, when points are at a premium, hello kicking game, right? Tough sledding on offense for both teams to this point. What a chain of events for this Villanova offensive football team, going back to the drop touchdown, the penalty on 3rd down. And now a block, scoop, and score by Matthew Durrance for South Dakota State.
There goes 45 yards the other way. That's the way to beat the Winds. Block a punt and race for 45, Matthew Durrance. Kevin, thank you very much. Connor Onion, Tom Luganville, Larisha Harris in Brookings, South Dakota, where Matthew Durrance just blocked the first punt of the season for South Dakota State, took it 45 yards for a touchdown. Fair catch called for, and that is a Tim Wakefield knuckleball hanging up in the air right now. But this was the block for Durrance.
So you've got 3 personal protectors right there, and then you're going to have the free rusher coming here. What happened is they've got 3 on 3, but 2 of the 3 in the personal protection for Villanova blocked to the left, and they have nobody securing the edge for Durrance, who's coming off of the opposite side. They had the numbers to block it. They just overcommitted and left a free rusher coming off the edge, and that's just a bust in the punt protection team for Villanova.
That'll make a Florida guy feel a little bit warmer on a cold day in Brookings, South Dakota. And Connor Watkins, after the big play for South Dakota State, and it turns it around with a 1st down run for the Wildcats.
Poor Cade Tervier, 94. Previously, it was 48, Quentin Hicks. But you can't be right. They're leaving you unblocked. And they're saying, you're either going to have to go with the running back or you're going to have to go with the quarterback, and then we're going to leave you in no man's land. If you take one false step in the opposite direction, you're done.
Well, Villanova felt very confident in their run game because of all the different formations, all the different binds they can put you in with Watkins. There's Barley on the carry, and it's something that South Dakota State, from the tape that Villanova watched, hadn't seen a lot of in the scout from Missouri Valley football team.
Yeah, they hadn't seen a lot of designated quarterback run, whether it's zone read or whether they're just telling the quarterback, hey, you're keeping it here. So you constantly have to account for 11 men on offense, meaning that you're playing 11 on 11, not 11 on 10, because when they're playing 11 on 10, it's because the quarterback's not a runner.
Watkins pulled it out at the last second, and it's banged out of there. Pringle collided with Tucker Large, who had the breakup.
How many times have we mentioned Tucker Large's name today? We're just in the first half, and it's been as a tackler. He's played off of blocks. He's made plays in the defensive back end. You see the slow mesh. Connor Watkins kind of sidearms this thing, and you got to catch that football. That's twice now for 19, and Rajon Pringle, their go-to guy, with 2 drops on back-to-back series. Uncharacteristic of this offense in the passing game.
Villanova 1 of 6 on 3rd down. And a low snap, tumbles back to Watkins, who has an open Pringle to make the catch. A disastrous start leads to a big play for Pringle down the field.
Nice job by Connor Watkins here, not only dealing with the snap, but getting out of the pocket and locating Rajon Pringle, 19, who just kind of sneaks behind the coverage right there. That's now the 75th play on the season for Villanova, 20-plus yards or more.
And right back to Pringle, but in the dirt. You got Pringle and Sanchez. It's really incredible. This Villanova offense, those 2 wide receivers, #1 and #2 in the country in yards per reception.
Yeah, and as we talked about in terms of the yards per completion, for Connor Watkins at 17.9 per completion, it's just a huge number. But today it has been tough sledding. Again, 19 passes of 40-plus yards, We just saw one of 20 plus. It's the first one all day. So clearly the conditions slowing down who Villanova really wants to be.
And it took that broken play to hit that average for Pringle at 25 yards a catch.
Yeah.
Matthew Durant's had the block punt. Give the Jacks the lead back. Villanova on the march with Barley, and he's hit by Cale Reeder.
That slow mesh puts you in such a bind, right? Because the quarterback's keying everybody downfield. The back is waiting and keying downfield, and once a defender hits his run fit, he may be wrong, and the cut comes off of that. And they are really, really good offensively with this scheme. Very similar to what we've seen out of Wake Forest out of the ACC at the FBS level.
This is right at the edge of Matthew Mercurio's field goal range on a normal day. This is on a very windy day. To Hayek, and the pursuit is right there from Tucker Large. No angle to get to the sideline. 4th down.
And Tucker Large is just such a good football player. I feel like every other play we're mentioning his name. He's in run support. He's making tackles. He's making plays on the back end and coverage. And decision-making time now as the offense stays on the field. Chris Bowden, the offensive coordinator. Again, points so important here with the wind at your back.
All 3 timeouts for Villanova in their pocket in this first half. Down to 5 on the play clock and a timeout. So do you bring the offense back out? That's the question now after the timeout.
Listen, I think you do. While you have the wind at your back, I think you've got to take every opportunity that you can. You've had a kicking game snafu. It was caused by a penalty on offense, a drop touchdown on offense on the play before on the previous drive. You've got to come up with an opportunity right here. Heady play right there by quarterback Connor Watkins, recognizing the play clock going down. If the wind was the opposite direction, it's just playing such a factor here in the decision-making for these coaching staffs on both sidelines.
Also, South Dakota State gets the ball at halftime.
Yeah. Jesse Bobbitt right there. You can see he's looking on the opposite sideline. He's trying to see what personnel grouping they're going to come out in. They're not going to come out in one because they're going to go ahead and kick it. See if we can kick it straight. Distance shouldn't be a problem.
Matthew Mercurio from 47. This would be a career long. To make this a 1-point game. And he kept it straight.
46 yards, field goal.
A career long for Mercurio, and the biggest game of Mercurio's career. Back to a 1-point game.
It's probably the right call. And, you know, you get them within one. Just about to go in the locker room, head to halftime. As you mentioned, South Dakota State's going to get the football coming out of the locker room, and he really cranked it when we were down there with for pregame warm-up. It wasn't the distance that was the issue. It was whether they could keep it straight or not.
Both kickers said, yeah, 70 yards, put me out there, I'll get it there.
Will it be between the big H? I don't know, but I'll get it there.
So this is a 1-point game. The touchdown run for Jalen Jackson, then the blocked punt for Matthew Durant that he took back to the end zone. Now Mercurio makes it a 1-point game. Villanova did miss a PAT. That's why it's 10-9, not 10-10.
Yep, missed a PAT, and of course you see the 46 total yards there by South Dakota State. But that's where the kicking game comes into play, and you block a punt, scoop, score for a touchdown.
That's a big number in the rushing department for Villanova.
Huge number. South Dakota State averaging 90.5 yards allowed, first in all of FCS.
Villanova, very good rushing offense, tops in the CAA at 220 yards a game, but by far the best rushing defense that they have seen this year. The 2 games they lost, Albany and UCF, both held them under 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
All right, now you got the wind in your face. You got Mark Gronowski at quarterback. How aggressive are you getting here?
Well, I don't think you want to do anything that could create a turnover. And any time, I think, as you see the wind on what is a massive American flag here in the stadium complex, and the wind and its impact on the throw could create an errant pass, and you don't want that.
Gronowski setting to throw on first down, using his legs, and out in open space for a first down.
Little hurry up here, really good decision there by Gronowski. That front door opened right in front of him, and he took it.
Inside 2 minutes, the clock does stop to get the chain set. And after the 15-yard gain, a loss for Gronowski. This Villanova defense has kept him right there all first half.
Yeah,
only touchdown on special teams.
Yeah, no question. I mean, they have done their job. They've probably exceeded expectations coming into the ball game. Gave up some points a week ago against Youngstown State.
Davis to the edge. Devin Marshall out there waiting for him. 3rd and 9 coming. Clock winding inside 20 seconds. And South Dakota State not using their 2 timeouts.
I think they're going to let this one just play out.
The other points for South Dakota State, that was off the bat punt.
Correct.
So special teams touchdown and good field position for the Jacks. And Davis is chopped by Marshall to send this game to the locker room. The difference, a missed PAT. So Villanova trying to pull off what Mark Ferrante, their head coach, said what would be the biggest win since their 2009 national title win over Montana.
It would be absolutely huge. You look at the conditions, you're on the road, you're playing the #1 seed, and I'll tell you, as we head into the second half, this is going to be about capitalizing on possessions. Points are going to be so critical, and the ball is going to drain the clock, right? These teams want to run the football. It's tough through the air.
Here's Larisha.
Coach, you had that block punt and also that sack that led to that. How vital were those plays for you all?
I mean, every big play in this weather is huge right now. So that was a huge play in the game. We got to continue to be able to, we got to run the ball. And we're not running the ball the way we should right now. So we'll regroup and be a different team when we come back out.
Thanks so much, Coach.
So 1-point game. Jimmy Rogers has not lost as a head coach. 12-0, 26 straight wins for the Jackrabbits, the #1 seed, in a fight with Villanova. Here's Kevin Connors in the studio.
Pride closes their show with a medley of patriotic favorites, featuring When Johnny Comes Marching Home, Shenandoah, and Battle Hymn.
Halftime in Brookings, #1 South Dakota State, 26 wins in a row, but in a fight against Villanova, the #8 seed, trying to shock the country within 1 point. getting ready for the second half. We're glad you're back with us. Connor Onion, Tom Luganville, Larissa Harris downstairs. Before we get into some of the stuff we saw in the first half, really interesting decision coming up with the wind. 45-mile-per-hour gusts today.
Yeah.
South Dakota State has the choice on what to do here.
Yeah, listen, they deferred. That doesn't mean they have to take the ball. Now, it would be a next-level coaching move, right? And it does have some risk. But if you want to ensure that your offense has the ball with the back to your wind, you've played good enough on defense. What if you give the ball to Villanova right here? And you decide that, hey, we're going to put the game in the hands of our defense on this first series so that we can have the ball in the fourth quarter. Nobody has scored going into the win today outside of the block punt.
And this is why it's so important. The special teams play that we've seen, including Matthew Duran's blocking a field goal, but it started with a bad punt for Villanova.
It did. It started with this bad punt right here. He's trying to kick it low and cut through the wind, ends up resulting in points. And again, this was with the wind at the back of South Dakota State. And then you've got the block punt by Durant's off the edge, number 23 right there. And that's really the only points that have been scored in this football game, going from the right to the left, which would be in the wind.
Well, we do have our answer. South Dakota State will take the ball with that choice out of halftime, and they'll have it just shy of the 30-yard line.
To the 28-yard line. First and 10.
I bet they talked about it a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe it wasn't something that came up, and we'll see if it's something that would even become a factor, because obviously you're having to project if we make that move, and there is some risk. They decided not to do that, and they're going to line up and play against a stingy defensive Villanova that has come to play today.
So field goal and a special teams touchdown. No offensive touchdowns from Mark Gronowski and the Jacks in the first half. And he throws out wide to Griffin Wilde, who picks up a strong gain on first down. Here's Larissa Harris.
I spoke with head coach Mark Ferrante during halftime, and he told me the message to his team was just resiliency. We've been doing what we need to do on all phases, being physical. The mantra for them is tapping the rock, so they want to continue tapping the rock until ultimately it breaks in their favor. He said we cannot give up plays like we did with the scoop and score in the first half. We got to continue being physical and sound like we have been.
He told us this week, PJ Fleck rows the boat, Greg Schiano, they chop, we tap the rock. That's our thing at Villanova. Davis out of that tackle, then another, and he trucks ahead to the 45.
Well, that's what he does best, right? Push the pile, break the initial tackle and contact at the line of scrimmage. That's just a really, really good job of tough, forward-leaning run. And this is a back that was targeted at the Group of 5 and Power 5 level for NIL purposes to leave South Dakota State. That's the type of prolific career he's had to this point, how much they rely upon him in the run game.
And just about everybody has stayed for South Dakota State from that title-winning team last year. Gronowski away from pressure. Off the pump, he gets outside and throws it incomplete. Back to Davis real quick.
Yeah.
You know the name Gil Brandt well.
Sure.
Talent evaluator, Hall of Fame executive.
Yep.
Mostly known for the Dallas Cowboys. He was at the national title game last year when the Jackrabbits won it in Frisco. He said that Tony Dorsett comes to mind when he watches Isaiah Davis.
Wow. I mean, that's what a compliment, right? Isaiah Davis, and he's 6'1", 220. I mean, this is a big, tall, forward-leaning power back, a downhill guy. And we heard Coach Jimmy Rogers tell Larissa, we got to run the football better, but they've decided to throw it 2 out of the first 3 plays.
And throwing again on second down. And complete to Hines. The tight end has it punched out, and it's recovered by Villanova. Jalen Goodman is there. Off of the pop-up to take it back for the Wildcats. Hines had the first down and then some. But the
catch, fumble, and recovery by Villanova. First and 10.
Let's start off with, this is a really good throw. Hines pulls it in, and then look at the effort. Look at Brendan Bell. We talked about this being a linebacker-led football team on defense for Villanova, who's played lights out here this afternoon. And then Jalen Goodman on the dive to secure the ball. It's good things happen when you have a lot of hats around the football.
I'd call that a peanut punch, but I think that deserves something more. Brendan Bell punching it out of the hands of Hines. And here's Connor Watkins for the first time in the second half. And Jalen Jackson, who had the one touchdown for Villanova in the first half, carries on this first play.
They've kind of found their go-to guy. Again, this has been a backfield that's utilized 3 running backs fairly equally, but Jalen Jackson has the hot hand. I really like him. He's explosive, he's powerful, low to the ground, 5'9", 220-pounder, so he's short, but he's not small.
Closing in on 1,000 yards. Best rushing season in a decade at Villanova for Jalen Jackson. A long mesh for Watkins. Luke, we've seen this all week on film, how long Watkins holds it in the belly of the running back.
Well, and just how good you have to get at it, how often you have to rep it, because there's danger inherent in this play of the ball going on the ground. Look right there, that mesh point could have resulted in a fumble. And so they're committed to it. They do it well. They know how to do it to protect the football, and it really puts the defense in a bind because you have to commit to your run fits, and then all of a sudden it can get pulled late.
One former Villanova quarterback pictured on the left, leading the current quarterback, Connor Watkins. Chris Bowden, the offensive coordinator. On 3rd and 4. Watkins improvising and crawling his way back to the line of scrimmage. Quentin Hicks there at the feet of the quarterback again.
Quentin Hicks has had himself a day in the defensive front for South Dakota State, and so much of their productivity along this front is effort-based. Got a little twist and line game underneath there, and Connor Watkins fortunate to tuck that ball in late. That could have been forced to a fumble and great field position potentially for South Dakota State, but big stop for the Jackrabbits defense.
Off the Brendan Bell forced fumble on Hines, the tight end. Fondacaro had trouble this way earlier punting. And this away cleanly, but short. So the Jackrabbits survive the turnover. They'll get it for the second time in the second half in a 1-point game with a trip to the semis on the line.
It's V-Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Balvano's fight against cancer.
Welcome back to Brookings, South Dakota. Defensive end Quentin Hicks has been working with various charities to fight childhood cancer. All of that is because his 89-year-old grandfather, John Sproul, beat prostate cancer when he was growing up. His grandfather, who actually lives in Iowa City, travels 6 hours to every game. And guess what? His grandfather is here to watch him today, guys.
His grandfather, a great story. And great work there by Larisha. Just saw Quentin make a play on 3rd down to get the ball back in the hands of the Jackrabbits, leading by 1.
Stop was made by
And a reminder, it's V-Week at ESPN when we partner with the V Foundation to highlight the urgent need for cancer research. This game-changing research helps save lives. You can join the fight against cancer visiting v.org/donate. 100% of your donation goes directly to cancer research, helping out in cases like Quentin Hicks' grandfather, 89 years old, here in Brookings today. Jackrabbits are trying to extend a winning streak to 27 straight games off their national title last year. Here's the big physical runner, Isaiah Davis, right into the arms of Camden Gagnon.
Well, this is kind of where this offense wants to live. 3 on 1st down, 4 on 1st down, 3 or 4 on 2nd down. Find yourself with an open playbook on 3rd down, 3 or less. This is their mode of operation. This is how they've gotten to this point as a program. Toughness, again, heavy packages with 13 personnel, 22 personnel, lots of tight ends and fullbacks on the field, and win at the point of attack.
In the run game, it's good against good with this Villanova rush defense. And testing that right here, and Davis working toward the sticks, but he's not going to get there. Devin Marshall came crashing in, and it's 4th down and 2, shy of midfield.
It's an interesting place on the field when you consider the wind is at the back of South Dakota State's offense, and it looks like they are going to go for it here again. Neither team has scored on offense going right to left to the north end zone.
Jimmy Rogers' offense has only been stopped twice all year on 4th downs.
Pretty good mark.
That'll do. And Gronowski with a quick snap under center, and they stay close to perfect with a first down.
Little showmanship there from Gronowski. Kind of steps back like he's going to say something to the running back, then turns around real quickly, gets under center, and then you get the late push there. I like it. Like it a lot. Zach Hines, who had the ball stripped away from him, gives him the push on the backside.
Gronowski's performative, isn't he?
Yeah, right. Remember, he's got, what was it, charisma, and we heard moxie, and a lot of adjectives to describe Gronowski.
His dad, a former college quarterback, said that's the biggest lesson he's taken from him. Body language. Throwing off his back foot, wants Yonke, and it's incomplete with Waxter in coverage. And the boos are out again for the Jackrabbits fans. No flags.
Gronowski got the ball up and over. The engineering major was able to give Yonke a chance. There's a little hand fighting here going down the sideline, and Yonke sees the ball is going to go to the inside. Oh, I can see right there why that sideline's upset. The left hand right there of Ice Waxter tugging on the left arm of Yonke. That's the call those Jackrabbit coaches wanted to get.
You got one person saying penalty, another person saying, I didn't see much there.
Yep.
And this is into tight coverage to Jaden Yonke, and he's short of the first down. It'll be a 3rd down and 2. After Marshall hit him, he stays down.
Took a shot, delivered the blow right there on Yonke. Devin Marshall again, number 6. One of the 2 corners on this team that have played really, really well today in the passing game.
And he'll stay down on his back, tried to get back up. And we'll step aside from Brookings with Devin Marshall, Villanova cornerback, down.
Live.
Kick off your Week 14 NFL Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern with the Countdown Crew on ESPN and the app. Breaking stories, injury updates, and previews of each game right up to kickoff. It's all presented by Snickers. Then Monday, 2 Monday Night Football games, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Tua and Tyreek, the AFC leading Dolphins, host the Titans on ESPN and ESPN Deportes, and on ABC, Jordan Love and the surging Packers off that win against the Chiefs take on the Giants. And a big play after the injury, Isaiah Davis breaking into the second level.
This is big boy football right here. It's going to line up. We're going to run it right there. And let's see if you can stop it.
Now, the injury was to Devin Marshall before we went to break. He's out of the game. Kayshawn Schulter's in on that play. Now Tyrell Mims subs in at a cornerback spot. This is wind at the back for South Dakota State, trying to build on their 1-point lead. And Davis dancing and jumping over his own guy before he's sandwiched by Glover. And he's right at the 20, into the red zone. Go the Jackrabbits.
You know, for a guy who's 6'1", 220, he's actually difficult to get a clean shot at. If you notice, a lot of people try to go low on him. He bounces off of that with the lower body strength, good forward lean, but nobody ever gets a dead shot on him in terms of a knockback type tackle. He's more elusive than you think he is. With another injury down here, piling up for Villanova.
Ty Trin, one of their most versatile guys down in the turf. This is a couple plays after Devin Marshall went down in the secondary for Villanova. And with that point, Luke's, they're calling him Playoff Zay. His numbers in the playoffs, when everybody gets worn down, Isaiah Davis seems to have a little extra juice.
Man, he's like a Clydesdale, right? I mean, he's just galloping through the line of scrimmage and pushing the pile, breaking that initial attempt at tackles. And, you know, right now with this injury defensively to Villanova, as we look at the strength of Isaiah Davis and the ability of this South Dakota State team to run the football on this drive in particular, number 9, Ty Trin, is a guy, as we see him hobbling off and getting help to the sideline there, that is a key component for pre-snap recognition for South Dakota State on offense, because number 9 lines up as their nickel linebacker. He always goes to the strength of the formation. He's asked to do the most within the defense. See what type of impact that has for the Wildcats.
So it's Mims that comes into the box. He's creeping up toward the line. And Gronowski over the middle to Yankee. Foot line. Touchdown for the Jacks. There's a flag down near the line of scrimmage back at the 17.
Yeah, I think we had some dead ball extracurriculars going to be tacked on after the attempt here. And you see, again, just zone read, got the glance, little slant route coming behind it. Second level window throw for Gronowski to Yankee, and they've tried to connect today. Finally, A to B and a touchdown.
And they went right after that matchup that happened because of the injury. Marshall out, Schulter's in.
Yep.
Results of the play is a touchdown. Then after the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 78, his first. That penalty be enforced on the extra point.
It's the tackle, John O'Brien. Caught celebrating. So it would have been as much of a chip shot as you're going to get on a day like today.
Well, and on a day like today, it might really matter. Again, the wind at your back's one thing to have the distance on the kick, but to control it. Saw a lot of knuckleballs out there earlier prior to this game kicking off.
We saw Villanova miss down on this end on a PAT earlier. And Dustman from a little bit further out has no issue. And Jackson Yankee from Mark Gronowski. And with the wind at their back, the Jacks extend their lead in the third.
Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr.
4 finalists, 1 dream.
And the winner is
with Heisman voter Tom Luganville, Connor Onion, Larisha Harris. Who'd you vote? Who'd you vote? No, I'm just kidding.
I can't tell you who I voted for,
tell me.
But I can tell you this: it was one of the most difficult decisions in recent history, because I don't think there's a bad choice in the bunch.
So that's what you were weighing. We'll find out
That's
tonight
right.
which way it goes. Gronowski to Yankee on the touchdown for South Dakota State. And Ayo Durojaye on the return across the 20 for Villanova. So the version of the Heisman at the FCS level is the Walter Payton Award. A couple of guys contending with Mark Gronowski, who just threw a touchdown to Yankee on that last drive.
Well, you see Max Brosmer, and you know, Ross Pennypacker, the defensive coordinator at Villanova, actually compared Gronowski to Brosmer there. So, you know, high praise. And when you consider the numbers that Gronowski has, 24 touchdowns through the air, this is a run-first football team.
Brosmer transferring to Minnesota, announcing that last week. Up for the Walter Payton Award with Gronowski. And Jackson, who had a touchdown in the first half, has 2 yards on this play. And you said it while we were in commercial. That was a big drive for the Jackrabbits. Got to get points when you're going that direction with the wind.
Yeah, and to convert on that 3rd and 1 and then be able to punch it in, did it through the air. We know that's been tough sledding. That's a sustained wind of 31 miles an hour. That's not the gusts that we've been seeing throughout the day as you look at the bottom of the screen there. So taking advantage of the wind in the 3rd quarter, critical for South Dakota State.
The wind is going left to right on your screen back home. So in the face of Villanova here. Watkins never slides. Always goes shoulder pads down, makes it a 3rd and short.
Isaiah Stahlberg makes a really important tackle there, because if he doesn't, Watkins is off to the races. Stahlberg's a dynamic athlete. He's a transfer from Nebraska. Maybe their best overall athlete at the linebacker position amongst the group.
Chris Bowden has dialed up on 3rd and 4. Watkins protected and slings it out to Jackson, who makes the adjustment and has a first down.
What a heady play by Connor Watkins here, and that's what you get out of a graduate, right? You get a smart, heady guy that knows where everybody's at on the field. It looks like it's going to be wide open to run. Stolberg comes into the lane, and he just pops it over to Jackson, who's really been a do-it-all back today for this offense.
17-yard pickup on 3rd down, and Bach is there to get Jackson with Jason Freeman across midfield for the Wildcats.
Nobody has a crystal ball for how this drive is going to end up, but that play right there, given South Dakota State's productivity on offense on that last drive, that was a critical conversion right there for Villanova. Let's see if they can sustain this thing, get some points on the board as they're heading into the wind, trying to cross the 50-yard line here.
Villanova would love to keep it within a score before we flip into the 4th quarter, if not better, when they would have the win at their back. Barley into the game at running back, and another 3rd down is coming up. And Caleb Francel, one of the guys to bring down Barley, along with Zach Wilson. You let Watkins throw it here?
Yeah, possibly, but I also think we could be looking at a potential 4-down territory. Talking to Chris Bowden, the offensive coordinator, he indicated to us that going in this direction, we may be in 4-down territory all the way to the 10-yard line. Said it with a bit of a wink.
Sure did. The pressure sets up for a well-designed play on the screen for Barley. Watkins with pressure in his face, and Barley out for a first down with 15 yards.
What a heck of a play call that time for Chris Bowden. You're anticipating pressure from a team that does not pressure often, but it's 3rd down, and you've got the right call versus the right defensive scheme. Really, really well executed. Kudos to Coach Bowden there.
He was a quarterback who played in the late 90s when Brian Westbrook, the future Eagle, was playing at Villanova. Said he didn't have the physical tools of Watkins, had to use his brain. It's turned Bowden into a great play caller. He goes outside run with Barley on 1st down.
So let's just project forward here a little bit. Clock widened down under 3 minutes. Villanova's got a great drive here. If they can get some points out of this drive and that clock goes, now the wind's going to switch. And you're going to have it if you're Villanova at your back. See Jesse Bobbitt, the defensive coordinator there. First-year defensive coordinator, was the safeties coach a year ago. Just 30 years old. Jackrabbit lifer.
A couple of first downs on this drive have allowed that clock to run. It's back to Barley. It's seeing that formation again.
Yeah.
Chris Bowden told us this week it happened by accident at his last school when his running backs just lined up wrong.
Remember when I sent it out to the group this week, I said, look at this formation, guys. Something's not right here. And it was a mistake. It was actually a mistake. And they've turned it into a package where they've got a screen off of it and some other things. So huge critical down right here. Got to be 4-down territory. I think you've run it well enough to attempt to run it here.
5 guys in the box for the Jackrabbits. And Watkins bobbled that exchange, but still has enough for the first down.
Whoa. Whoa.
He was flirting with a turnover there.
2 series ago, we talked about this exact same mode of operation and how it can be risky because the mesh point drags on. And if that back decides to clamp down on the ball and you want to pull it, what you just saw right there is what happens. And very fortunate, good awareness, and really hand-eye coordination there by the quarterback, Connor Watkins, and a fresh set of downs. This is an impressive drive for the Wildcats.
Hearts deep into the bellies of Wildcats fans back in Philly. But Watkins survived it and throws incomplete. Wanted Hayek, who was right at the pylon, but out of his hands. Beanham had the coverage.
The good news is you can run the clock out for the rest of this quarter. The bad news is you just dropped a potential touchdown, and you've got the tight end leaking into the flat. That ball's got to be, oh, it was batted down at the last second. That's a great play by Dallas Beanham. Looked like it was more clean from up here, and on the replay, that's just a really nice job playing the back shoulder ball.
That's the best guy in coverage. And Watkins knew he was that close to a potential touchdown. Well, Watkins, Bach is there. No gain on the play, third down coming up.
You just can't have that right there, and you may say, well, the ball's still on the 19-yard line. Great position to kick a field goal. Not necessarily in that spot of the field, given the windy conditions.
Villanova 3 of 3 on third down on this drive. Pressure on Watkins, another screen. Barley converted on this earlier and does it again. They'll have it first and goal indefinitely in field goal range now, but they're thinking about a touchdown.
They're absolutely thinking about a touchdown. And as we talked about throughout the course of this game, points are going to come at a premium. 2 critical third downs, 2 screen calls, one to the left, this one to the right. Barley does the rest. Tough running, really good using his blockers in front of him, and Connor Watkins hangs in there just long enough, taking a shot as he delivers the football.
No chance they're snapping this ball, getting the wind going into the fourth quarter.
I mean, look at the goalpost on the left side. I mean, it's no wonder they're trading end zones right now.
Slugfest in the quarters. Connor Onion, Tom Luganbill, Larisha Harris started the fourth quarter in an FCS quarterfinal game that has South Dakota State putting their 26-game winning streak on the line.
Outstanding red zone defense, only allowing 10 points a game, so obviously stingy down here.
And movement up front. Flag doesn't come out. Jack's got back, and Barley is stuffed. Van Marl's in the backfield again. The heaviest guy on this defense. One of the best in the weight room, exploding through that gap.
Let's see what this offense can come up with. Not much real estate behind those blue jerseys.
Barley, man in the hole again. Isaiah Stallbird fills the hole to make it third down.
Can't say enough about this South Dakota State red zone defense. And in college football in today's day and age, there's lots of offenses. It's very difficult to defend space. A lot of yards get put up, but it's what you do when the ball gets down here. Going to be a decision to make here if Villanova can't put this ball into the end zone.
15th play of this drive. Wildcats 4 of 4 on third down. Watkins flushed. Watkins incomplete. Jaron Hayek, the guy trying to work free but ran out of room with Tucker Large hemming him in.
I think if Watkins could have thrown this early to Hayek, he had him to turn the corner and get into the end zone. I just don't think he saw him initially, and I think that's what Chris Bowden, the offensive coordinator, is telling him right now. You had the flat if you took it early, and now we'll see a field goal attempt on the way.
Matthew Mercurio missed a PAT earlier. This from 23, and it is good. 5-point game. Villanova trying to shock the country. back in Brookings, the FCS quarterfinals by quarter. It's dependent on which way you're going with the winds. All of the offense is going wind at your back with 45-mile-per-hour gusts on a very windy day in South Dakota.
You got it. You want to be going left to right when you're on offense in this matchup.
That's what Villanova has working for it. South Dakota State, they'll extend their lead going into the winds after the field goal from Mercurio. Here's Larisha with Jimmy Rogers moments ago.
Coach, what adjustments were made to be able to find that end zone?
Yeah, I was doing our job and being able to stay on blocks. We got to clean up some of the stuff on defense, but other than that, we did what we were supposed to do on offense.
Thanks so much, Coach.
That was right after the Jackrabbits brought a little pressure, and Villanova caught him in it a couple of times.
Yeah, there's no question. Good play calls versus the right call on defense. Advantage Villanova on that drive. Let's see what Mark Gronowski and this Jackrabbits offense can answer with.
Gronowski has led South Dakota State to a national title game and a national title. And year 3 as the starter, and he stays on his feet. 5 extra yards after contact. Pick up 9.
Well, I love the play design. We're going to pull up like we're going to throw the quick screen out to the wide side and come back and run quarterback lead into the boundary. Really well designed and executed. 9 yards on the carry.
Second down and 1.
Gronowski has gone from unwanted high school player to a Walter Payton finalist and a national championship quarterback for Zach Lujan.
28 years old, the offensive coordinator for South Dakota State.
Still gets confused for a college student around here.
Looks like one.
And Davis probing, and he breaks out. First big hitter of the day for Isaiah Davis. And he is gone.
Line up. Pick your poison. If you are Villanova on defense, you're either going to load up the box or you're going to have an even box count. South Dakota State's going to make you pay. And the coaches told us with Isaiah Davis, he's faster than you think, he's quicker than you think, he's more explosive than you think, as we see South Dakota State here going for 2.
Gronowski on this 2-point try. Didn't have Morgan and didn't have anybody. Roped down by Reichwein, and the conversion is no good. Zach Lujan told us that he was brought to tears a couple of years ago by an Isaiah Davis run in the national championship game. Maybe one more for Lujan to celebrate and cry over. Playoff Zay, Isaiah Davis showing up in the second half, 66-yard touchdown to make it a 2-score game.
Well, there was no hesitation after that run to go for 2 points from South Dakota State. And if you look at it, had they kicked the extra point, they now go up by 12, 2 full scores. Now instead, you're a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal from tying it. But there was no hesitation on the sideline. The Jackrabbits took the offense, lined up, weren't able to convert.
That is a very precious point. And it'll be a long field for Villanova after they went down the field 4 of 4 on 3rd down until the final one when they forced a field goal. But Villanova in the screen game with Barley moving it down.
Yeah, really did a nice job. It was all about 3rd down. South Dakota State couldn't get off the field. A couple of good screen calls. Connor Watkins made some really good decisions, not just in the pass game, but also in the run game with some of their slow mesh and zone read concepts. This is a really well-played football game. Low penalties. There hasn't been a lack of discipline. And this is true old-school football right here. Trench play at its finest.
The winner of this game plays tonight's winner in Idaho. Idaho against Albany, the 4 and 5 seed, on ESPN Plus at 10 Eastern. First play of this drive for Watkins. And taking a shot into double coverage, and Beadham picks it off.
Chris Bowden, the offensive coordinator, certainly not happy with the decision right there. And Connor Watkins really just threw that ball up for grabs. Threw it into traffic. He got a safety over the top as well as the corner. See the corner coming off of the outside receiver, actually, and making that play over the top. Intended for Jaron Hayek.
You read Chris Bowden's lips, the offensive coordinator. He said, "You got a man wide open." Oh.
Connor Watkins just not seeing it there and forcing the ball. Too late. Don't be late throwing the ball down the middle of the field.
So a couple plays in coverage today for Beadham, now a pick. And Isaiah Davis is getting stronger as this game goes on.
And here we go. This is what South Dakota State does. They wear on you and wear on you and wear on you, and they feel confident that you'll make the mistake and they won't. Then you're going to get tired, then you're going to get beat up at the point of attack, and then it just comes down to we're better than you are.
The 605 Hogs, the nickname for the offensive lineman.
It's a good looking group, really good looking group. And then you add these tight ends and these fullbacks.
The ball got moved off the spot for Gus Miller, the center.
We got a remote control football down there. Yeah, this is a tried and true group and philosophy up front, and I don't blame them. You get that many bodies in the box, you're going to successfully run the football.
Gronowski trying to soften up that box, and Jaden Yonke with the diving catch for a first down.
Well, that's just it right there. I mean, look at the numbers. You got a tight end and a fullback and a tailback in there. A lot of white jerseys within the box. So what happens? You've got one-on-one, our guy versus yours on the outside with really no underneath coverage that Gronowski has to read. It's the value of being able to effectively run the football when you want to and set up everything else off of it.
And Davis, and another big gain for Davis. Give him 7 more. Here's Larisha with more on Isaiah Davis.
Well, you guys were talking about how strong he gets consistently throughout the game. I think that's credit to his work ethic that a lot of the coaches were praising. They said his work ethic is impeccable, and it's clear from what we see in this game. He has great feet, good balance, and he just has great athleticism overall.
Well, Luke, we were joking yesterday. Some of his runs that Larisha is alluding to need to have like the comic strip pow coming off.
Yeah, exactly.
A heavy body. There's Johnson into the game, and don't get it confused. Just because Johnson's coming in there a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter, he can still run you over.
Oh, he's got 704 yards rushing as a reserve coming into this game. So obviously this is a football team that can rotate backs, not have a decrease in productivity. Things are getting a little chippy down there.
The flag came in right at the spot at the end of the run.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense, number 83. 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's Quentin Christensen, who sometimes wears 69.
Yep.
They've given him an eligible jersey, and Christensen called for that.
Yeah, we talk about some of the unbalanced looks that we've seen and giving an eligible player out there. You see the end of the run, him finishing at the point of attack. Oh, I don't know if I overly, that's a little ticky-tack right there. I would have kept that hanky in my pocket.
And Elijah Glover pinned down to the ground. Christensen called for the foul. The first down counts, but back him up now. A reverse and a flick back to Gronowski and right back to Yonke. And Yonke looking for a block from Gronowski. All this behind the line of scrimmage. And all that for 1 yard.
I don't think that's quite how South Dakota State drew that up and practiced that throughout the course of the week. I kind of like the initial setup of trying to make it a screen back to the outside, but Yankee comes to the inside where all the bad guys are.
This for baseball, and you're putting that in your scorebook. That would be like a 6-5, 4-3, 6-5, 6. All for a yard.
Second down and 8 from the Dykhouse.
Creative mind of Zach Lujan.
They're not all gems.
A more traditional play call on second down, and Gronowski burrows ahead to make it third down and medium.
So you run the quarterback there. You've got an unbalanced line. You're going to pull the guard. Got a tight end and a fullback, and now your tailback becomes your lead blocker for your quarterback. You don't have enough bodies if you're Villanova on defense to be able to hold up. Unless you slip a block and make a play on somebody, they got you.
And now the officials are coming in. There's some talking going on. I figured there would be. Danny Abraham was telling us this week that against his own backs, he has energy offs every single practice, meaning who can bring the most juice between him and D. Will Barley.
Well, and I think Villanova's frustrated too.
Yeah.
They've made more mistakes here today to this point than South Dakota State has, bottom line.
Johnson the back with a lead from Davis, but it stopped. Hartzell is there to ring him down. The clock, something to keep your eye on here. Inside 8 minutes, 2-possession game. And Villanova's getting it back on a 4th down.
And they're going to take their time, just under 30 seconds on the play clock, and not coming up with points, but hopefully they can cut the wind here with this punt, get some decent field position.
Another low one that Dustman gets to topple over with a Jackrabbits bounce. Put that wind, even with the guys swinging their arms.
Yeah, they're swinging the wrong way.
Still pushing the other way. 2-score game in the quarters.
Well, the bell cow and the identity of this South Dakota State offense is Isaiah Davis. And as we talked about earlier in the broadcast, he's better in the 4th quarter than he is in the 1st. Just great endurance, balance, power. As we talked about, the coach has raved about his probably underrated top-end speed and underrated ability to make people miss, and he has been as advertised all day here today.
Villanova's got to be thinking, how do we get rid of this guy? He was a star in the playoff win in 2021 against the Wildcats for South Dakota State. And this starts a really, really important drive for Villanova. Got to have points in some way right here.
Got to have points, and you're going to have to get this ball downfield and do it without being risky with the football. Connor Watkins was risky with the ball on that last drive, an ill-advised throw down the field late, down the middle of the field. Got to make smart decisions if you decide to throw it on this drive.
Villanova does have the wind working at their back, and that's at the feet of Jalen Sanchez. 3rd down, Villanova.
Oh, the one hopper to the sideline, and it looked like Connor Watkins wanted receiver to pull up, run that route a little bit shorter. Clearly not on the same page.
Villanova's 3 points in the second half came on a drive where they converted 4 3rd downs. Watkins escapes. And Watkins runs out of room. Freeman there to bring him down. It's 4th down and 3. We said they needed points, but the punt unit is coming out.
Yeah, the punt unit's coming out, the clock's winding down, and this is really needed to get a 1st down on that drive. So if they were in this position with the clock at another time, but this clock's winding down on them right now.
Too deep to go for it?
I think so, but you might be forced with having to. We're going to go ahead and kick it away here, rely on this defense. We're up until this last quarter has played really well today.
And no fake here. Tucker large on the return for South Dakota State, and they bottle him up. Shane Hartz will run it down on special teams. Getting late in Brookings. South Dakota State trying to make it 27 in a row. For 30 tonight, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ESPN, right after the Heisman Trophy ceremony. A lot of people look back fondly at the 1997 race. That was Randy Moss,
yep.
Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, and Charles Woodson.
Yeah, I remember I was going into grad school at Marshall the year after that great year that Randy Moss had in '97. Man, what a college football player he was.
South Dakota State trying to milk the clock, and Davis still churning for another first down.
I'm not so sure that South Dakota State's not going to pull the Michigan versus Penn State caper and run it 26 straight plays or 29 straight plays. They don't need to throw it right now.
Elijah Glover down hurt for Villanova. I'm with you.
Line up, hand it off, and it's been a tough go of it in the back end for Villanova. That's 3 different players we've seen go down just in their secondary alone here today.
Devin Marshall went down a couple plays before South Dakota State hit on a touchdown. Jackson Yankee slipped by Marshall's replacement, Schulters, and added to the lead for the Jacks. Luke, this is a South Dakota State team that hasn't lost a game this year, but haven't really been tested much. Early in the year, Montana State, it was #1 versus #3.
Yep.
They scored on the final drive to win it. Southern Illinois played them to a touchdown game down in Carbondale. Outside of that, it's been big margins. Jimmy Rogers and the Jacks.
Yeah, and listen, they're so good at making the opposition earn it. They don't give up explosive plays. They don't beat themselves. We haven't seen silly penalties. And again, they're plus 11 as a football team. That in and of itself is going to win you a lot of football games.
They've been to the semifinals 5 of the last 6 years, including last year's national championship. The first in school history for the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Very, very motivated by their Dakota market rival, North Dakota State, and the dynasties that they've put together. Not satisfied with one. And Villanova needs a stop. They came in here. This is a team that was not afraid. They were very loose in the meetings. They felt like they could not only hang, but they could win this game.
Well, and it's because of their experience. You know, this is a football team that has so many 5th and 6th year players, grad students, 23, 24 years old, that have played a lot of football. And you know, right now, as this clock begins to wind down, a lot of these guys may be seeing their last football, and hopefully they will take a look around at the end of this game, win or lose, and just take it in for a second.
North Dakota State, we mentioned that's been the standard that South Dakota State is chasing. Montana, they're into the semifinals with 2 national championships. South Dakota State, Villanova have both won one.
My senior year, we lost to Montana on the road. That was one of those 2 national championships that they won. They went on the road late and had to beat Marshall to win the national championship in 1995. It was a great Montana team.
They're 2 wins away for their first in over 20 years. Here's Davis, and it takes 3 guys to barrel him down at the first down marker.
This offensive line group is just dominating at the point of attack. Gus Miller, number 50, the center. Mason McCormick, number 60, the left guard. Garrett Greenfield, 74. And again, we talk about these tight ends, Zach Hines, and we mentioned Quentin Christensen, who lines up at number 69 at right tackle, but when they come in with their heavy package, he's wearing number 83 at tight end, and they are just winning hat to hat right now in the box.
Their next run, which we expect to happen here, will be their 35th run play of the day. It's been a heavy run on a windy day. And Davis shakes Hartzell across the 50. And the clock rolls with more positive yards for Davis.
You kind of got the sense from Davis right there with every cut that he made. How do I stay to the inside? How do I not get to that sideline? How do I make sure I go down in bounds?
And force the timeout for Villanova, down to 1 remaining, and it's almost got to happen on this series for Villanova with 4:08 on the clock and just 1 timeout. And then the NCAA FCS championship coverage continues next weekend with semifinal coverage on ESPN networks. For more info, visit ncaa.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. Well, for South Dakota State, they'll be watching tonight if they hang on and win this against Idaho and Albany. It's 10 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN Plus. If it is Idaho that comes out of that game, they will see their former coordinator, Jason Eck, who is now the head coach of the Vandals.
Have you ever done a game at the Kibbe Dome?
Haven't been there yet, no.
It's like arena football, man. The ball's live off the nets.
Yeah. No, it's
cool, man.
It's a levitating crossbar, too.
Yep, it sure is.
They won in overtime last week. Idaho did. And another first down through the air. Jaden Yonke from Gronowski.
Little surprise throw to keep you on your heels if you're Villanova defensively. Was not expecting that. Again, a lot of white jerseys cheating towards that box. So fearful of the vaunted run game from South Dakota State.
Well, if it does end up being Albany in the next round, if they beat Idaho tonight, that's the last team to beat Villanova. So it'd be a matchup of the last team and the latest team to beat the Wildcats. If Albany out of the CAA wins that game on the road tonight, goes to the semis. There's Davis for a short gain. Clock rolling down to the 3-minute mark. And before we get there, a timeout for Villanova. 26 wins in a row for South Dakota State. They lost their first game last year. That was at Iowa. They went to Iowa City. That was the game that Torrey Taylor became a national legend. The punter for Iowa, 7-3. He still is a legend. This was one that really got him some recognition against what Jimmy Rogers called the 85 Bears, the defense of the Hawkeyes. Since then, nothing. Very few tests for South Dakota State since that day in Iowa City last September.
Yeah, this is a really good football team. And, you know, we talk about the FCS level versus the FBS and the Group of 5 and Power 5. And we've seen the success. You look right there of South Dakota State, and you kind of rewind the clock and you look at what App State had accomplished. You look at what Marshall had accomplished. Most recently, James Madison, Western Kentucky, and their transition to the FBS level. And you wonder at some point, is that coming here for not just South Dakota State, but for many of these FCS participants in the state of North and South Dakota?
Davis on another strong stiff arm of Goodman. Angles, stays in bounds at the 25. It'll be 3rd and short. Well, you said it watching the tape on South Dakota State this week. You feel like they could go Group of 5 right now and maybe win one of those leagues.
Yeah, listen, if they went into the MAC or they went into, they went into Conference USA, they're built for the transition. And I don't, listen, look at the facilities upgrades here. You look at, there's Jimmy Rogers, the head coach, and he was a player, he was an assistant here, and he was a player and assistant here where they did not have this stadium enhancement. They did not have this scoreboard enhancement or this press box we're in right now, an indoor practice facility and coaching facility. And they've made the commitment as a university. They really have.
And Davis meets Goodman, but it's a first down.
Davis with the third, and it's our quarterback, first and 10.
Look at this. I mean, you look at this stadium complex. Building there in the background, their indoor facility. You've got a wrestling complex off to the left right there. Coach's office is right there behind the end zone. And we were talking with the coaching staff yesterday, and they were referring to the wooden bleachers on the away side, and they were referring to the trailers that acted as opposing team locker rooms. And this wasn't 1992. This was 2013.
Right. Jimmy Rogers said they used to have to strike each other on concrete.
Yep, they would go into the gym and do their winter workouts on concrete and on the hard court.
Getting close to a 27th straight win because of this guy, Isaiah Davis. Almost broke it for a touchdown. He settles for a first down.
Talk about draining the life out of a football team. Look at this drive. They have forced Villanova to use all of their timeouts. They've stayed in bounds every single time they've had a positive play. They attempted one pass that was completed. They've done everything right.
How do you beat them?
They have to make a mistake. You have to play your best, and they have to do something uncharacteristic to their nature. They have to give up a blocked punt. They have to not convert on 4th and 2. They have to throw an interception that gets returned for a touchdown.
That's not happening today. Victory formation time for Gronowski.
This is an impressive football team, and really the rest of the field in the bracket at the FCS level right now is chock full of really good football teams. What Montana did last night, you see that crowd there in Missoula, it's unbelievable.
2 tickets about to be officially punched. Mark Ferrante and his team, they were just sick and tired of hearing about how they were a 6-5 team last year. Underdogs all year long. Picked 7th in the CAA, won the league, and gave South Dakota State a real scare, down just 1 point at halftime.
Yeah, really won 7 in a row to get to this point, and it just got outlasted here today, and again made more errors than South Dakota State did, and South Dakota State played their best football down the stretch.
But this, another day that belongs to the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. For the 27th game in a row, the Jackrabbits win it, and for the 4th year in a row, they're on to the semifinals, trying to repeat as national champions.
Great atmosphere here today, despite the weather and the elements, cold temperatures, the wind that affected every facet of the game. We were on the field at pregame talking with a punter at South Dakota State. He said, guys, I've been here 4 years. I've never experienced anything like this.
Danny Abraham, who played a great game. He's one of the guys late in his career that put it all out there today. Just a little bit short for Villanova. Go on to the semifinals, the winner of tonight's Idaho and Albany game. Here's Larisha.
Isaiah, you went hard in the second half. How does it feel to come out successful?
It was great. You know, it was definitely a rough start at first. We kept doing the same thing, be patient, wait for things to hit. At halftime, made some adjustments, and the second half worked out, man. At the day, we got to lean on each other, man. Good group of guys. You know, every day we're fighting for extra moments, man. We've got 6 more days now.
You guys have been able to sustain a certain amount of success. What have you learned about this team?
Resilience. You know, through hard times, we find a way, and that was the key. You know, Coach Rogers pregame told us, no matter what happens, we got to find a way to win. That's what we did today. You know, obviously it was a rough start. You know, defense always got our back, and champions are good with defense. So yeah.
What are you looking forward to most next?
Just extra moments with these guys. You know, I'm blessed to be a part of such a great group with more opportunity. You know, the big goal is win it all, but we got a good opponent next week, so pray for that.
Congratulations.
Guys, yes, sir.
Well, the NFL likely awaits Isaiah Davis, but for now, he came back chasing a 2nd consecutive national championship, and him and the Jackrabbits are 2 wins away from doing that. Tonight's winner of the Idaho-Albany game in Moscow that you can watch on ESPN Plus at 10 Eastern. That'll decide who the Jacks play on ESPN2 next Friday. Montana is already there after their win. They await the winner on ABC coming up in a bit.
And this is getting to be the best of the best, right? And there's going to be some hard-nosed football that's played. The margin of error will narrow each and every round that you advance at the FCS level. And this is just a lot of fun. You know, we talk about the playoff, we talk about the college football playoff. This level of football has been doing it for a long time, and it is a lot of fun in November and December in this league.
Larisha Harris was downstairs braving the wind all day. For Tom Luganbill, I am Connor Onion. We send you back to the studio after South Dakota State wins it.